All right, well, let's bring in the panel. Let's not waste any more time. We've got a great panel tonight. One Nation Chief of Staff James Ashby and GT Communications Gemma Tognini. Welcome both of you to the program. I want to talk about local issues here first, particularly those inflation numbers today. Now, Labor's hopes of a pre-election rate cut hangs in the balance following the latest inflation data out today. Annual headline inflation rose by 2.3% in the 12 months of November, above the 2.2 rise expected by economists. But here was Treasurer Jim Chalmers.
And what we see in today's numbers is the helpful role that our policies are playing when it comes to this inflation fight. If you take electricity prices, for example, they have fallen 21.5% in the year to November. They would have fallen 1.7% without our energy rebates for every household that we are rolling out. So electricity prices would have come off a little bit. Without action, they've come off substantially because of the electricity bill rebates that we are providing to every household in Australia, and that's a good thing. Rents went up 6.6% in the year, but they would have gone up 7.9%. Were it not for the changes that we've made to Commonwealth rent assistance.
Gemma, I want to come to you first on this here because you're a business owner, so I think you know a thing or two about accounting and how balancing the books work. How is it that you're bringing down inflation when the taxpayer is just picking up the tab by making it look like things cost less, but we're still paying the same money just by passing it through the lovely hands of Jim Chalmers and the government? Explain this to me.
This is the point. This is the point, James, at which I think Australians need to be reminded again that Mr Chalmers has a PhD in Paul Keating. Mr Chalmers has never run a company. He doesn't understand clearly basic economics. And to say, oh, look, it's so much better because we're subsidising it is not the flex that he thinks it is. It's actually hideously embarrassing to see the Treasurer of this nation stand up and say, everything's fine, the government's propping it up. That's basically what he just said then. Everything's fine because taxpayers are actually subsidising basic services, which I might remind again Australian voters, Prime Minister Albanese promised would organically come down under his government. They haven't. They've skyrocketed, as we all know, as you know and I know. This is a government with no economic credibility. They are economic wreckers. And somebody needs to tap Mr Chalmers on the shoulder and say, you cannot bring inflation down unless you stop spending and living beyond this country's means.
James Ashby, I want to go to you on this because when I was watching the Treasurer, Jim Chalmers there, he looked to me like a very nervous gambler who was contemplating whether or not he should hit on 17 at the blackjack tables, hoping to get this interest rate cut. What did you make of all of it?
Well, Dr Chalmers hasn't been completely honest with the Australian people in his discussion today. The simple fact is the wholesale price of electricity may have come down, but the ACCC only last week said that the majority of households and businesses are paying way beyond what they should be for their electricity prices, and they're encouraging households to actually pick up the phone, have a conversation with their provider and try and bring those prices down. Consumers shouldn't have to do that, not in a modern economy. But getting back to that fact about Jim Chalmers saying that inflation may have come down, the truth is I think he's giving a lot of homeowners in particular or investors false hope in the belief that he and his government under Albanese can bring down interest rates. I don't think we're ever going to see interest rates as low as what they were 2, 3, 4 years ago when we were paying just over 2% for a lot of households who had a mortgage. We were paying very, very minimal interest rates. But I think if you have a look at historical data, I think these interest rates are here to stay, regardless of whether we bring inflation down. I think the RBA are going to be reluctant to bring those down. So the false hope that this government or even an opposition may bring to people in this country that they are capable as a government of bringing interest rates down is a red flag to any voter moving forward. I think historical data will say that interest will sort of somewhere be between 4 and 7% moving forward into the future, because historical data of up to 600 years, I might just say, internationally shows interest rates have always tend to be around that rate.